What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another video on the channel today. Today we've got something a little bit different. This is going to be another one of those where you need your notepads and your pens out, because today we are going to be looking at all the players that sort of have 3 months left on their contract and are probably likely to move on, and we're sort of going to dive into each player and what I think might happen with them. And also this is going to be very good for platforms like Sorare, because there might be some players in here that aren't getting much football at the moment, so obviously their price is going to be quite low, but they could potentially move to a new club and be looking specifically for first team football. So if you do like this idea, of course show me by leaving a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and let's get into the first player. So to start things off then, Trent Alexander-Arnold is our first player that we're going to be talking about today. And of course, if you guys have been following the channel for a while, if you've been in the streams for a while, I pretty much called this guy to move to Real Madrid literally in the Euros, so way before it all got, I guess, up in the air and announced. And I did also call that Liverpool would sign 2 out of the 3. So of course they had Salah, Trent and Van Dijk that were all up in the air whether or not they were going to stay. And I pretty much was telling everybody they'll sign 2 out of the 3. Like, you know, Virgil and Salah are going to sign, and then Trent is going to go off to Madrid. And it looks like pretty much exactly what I thought is going to happen. So, yeah, if you've got Trent or whatever on Sorare, then you know how good he can score. I will say this year has been sort of, I mean, like Sorare scoring wise has still been fantastic, but in terms of his actual like ability or the way he's playing, it's been a bit I guess because he's been under a lot of controversy or a bit of conflict between the fans. So he has, I would actually say, he's actually not played that well this year. I know it's kind of crazy to say with scores like this, but you guys know his potential. He's absolutely fantastic player, and I have absolutely no doubt that he's going to cook for Real Madrid. And yeah, hopefully he does well. But that is our first player that only has 3 months left on his contract. Up next is Tyrick Mitchell, and he only has 3 months left on his contract. And I do believe that Palace have just picked up Ben Chilwell. I don't know if that's a permanent deal or on loan, but it does still look like Mitchell has the starting spot over Chilwell, and you would like to think that, considering the lack of games that Chilwell has played in his career recently. But yeah, Mitchell yet to sign another deal at Palace. We don't know if he will or not, but we know last year that deadly like wing back combo of Mitchell and Munoz was so fantastic. This year it's kind of hard. It's, you know, I feel harsh on him saying it's been a bad year, but maybe not as good as last year. But he's still quite a good little player. So even if Palace don't decide to renew his contract, I still do feel like he will be in the Premier League somewhere, or at least be at a decent club. Maybe that's just my English bias coming in here, I don't know. But I feel like 25 years old, you know, 26, you're still sort of in your quote-unquote peak at that age. So, yeah, Mitchell might be getting a move, and maybe it'll be a bit more of a competition for him wherever he does go for that starting spot. Of course, he's pretty much had the #1 spot at Palace this year. So, yeah, maybe if you own a Mitchell, maybe he might, you know, not sign to, you know, he might not get an ideal move, and if he does, he might be a bit more competitive for his position when he does move. Up next we have Angel Gomes. Probably said his name wrong, but obviously a hot commodity after the Euros, obviously put in a pretty decent and reliable performance for England, and, you know, pretty decent age as well at 24 years old. You like to assume that his best years are still ahead of him, and I believe he has unfortunately been plagued with injuries this season, but he only has 3 months left on his contract, and I have a weird feeling that he wants to come back to England. And initially my thought was maybe Spurs, and I think he was actually linked with Spurs. I don't know actually. I'm not too sure where he might end up, but if I had to guess, it would be a club like Spurs where they need to sort of freshen things up in that midfield especially. But yeah, that's going to be sort of my guess that he ends up there. And yeah, we have obviously seen what he done in the Euros, a great performance from him. And yeah, let's see how he goes or gets on in the next stages of his career. Up next, we have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who only has 3 months left at Everton, and seems a bit weird because I feel like he's been at Everton forever, but of course been plagued with injury in recent times, and looks like he's just fallen out of favour. And he was actually linked with Newcastle, I believe, at the start of the season as a potential Wilson replacement. But I do know the Geordies were very unhappy with that because obviously, unfortunately, Wilson is quite injury prone. Great player, but just injured all the time, and it doesn't really make sense to replace him with a person that is also equally very injury prone. So yeah, I don't really know where Calvert-Lewin. I don't know where he ends up, to be honest with you. I don't even have like a hunch or a feeling really. But I will say this is the type of player on Sorare that you might potentially be taking a risk at, especially you budget managers. Not to say do it to Calvert-Lewin, but players like this that are like 50p or whatever, might be worth a little risk. Especially like obviously you would be buying these players for classic at this point for next year, but if you could build a couple of little 50p players all together, they might be able to do something for you next year. But yeah, Calvert-Lewin probably moves, and I'm going to assume maybe even to the Championship. I don't know. I mean, I just feel like he really needs to get playing football. You know what I mean? I don't know if he's going to get a Premier League contract, but who knows? I mean, it could just be a case where a club that gets promoted gets him on board, and he plays his games there, and he could be, I guess the star man at maybe a smaller club. Up next is Kyle Walker-Peters, who has been sort of like a bright light in a terrible Southampton team. 3 months left on his contract, and I don't think he'll be looking to re-sign that one because I do think he is a Premier League caliber sort of player. I think he was heavily linked with West Ham, I believe, at the start of the season. Could be wrong, but they might still even, go in for him again. I think he is probably going to be at the top of a few, clubs, I guess, parameters or lists. The player, maybe even clubs like Brentford would be interested in potentially signing a player like him. And I think he, obviously his scores haven't been that great this year, but I mean, do you blame him? He's playing for the worst team in the Premier League, so it's always going to be a bit tough for him. And obviously, reflected in his price is just absolutely, rock bottom because no one wants to own a Southampton defender. But he has 3 months left on his contract, and let's see where he ends up, I guess, over the summer. We did speak about him earlier. It's Mr. Callum Wilson up next. Only 3 months left on his contract, and I don't believe, although, to be fair, Newcastle do have this tendency to, just hold on to players for too long. But I don't think he's going to get another contract just purely based on the fact that whenever he's needed, he's injured, which is a bit of a shame. And you can see of recent times he is just coming off the bench, which is great because it gives Isak a little bit of a rest. But yeah, Wilson's a bit of a weird one because I think you guys know, if you watched him, Bournemouth days and things like that, quality striker, but yeah, just lacks to stay fit, and he's getting on a bit now, a little bit older, so maybe a Championship move on the cards for Callum Wilson. Up next is Danny Ings, and again, it's another type of player. It's similar, like Wilson, Calvert-Lewin, Ings. They're all types of players that's really hard to tell where they're going to end up because you feel like they're getting a bit on now, plagued with injuries. So you like to assume that maybe they'll take a step down in the English pyramid. But yeah, only 3 months left on Danny Ings' contract, and I'm assuming he's not going to get another contract at West Ham. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know. He obviously we've seen what he done at Southampton, and pretty good player for a lower tier club. And yeah, maybe he goes back to Southampton. Who knows? Eric Dier, only 3 months left of his Bayern Munich contract. Bit of a weird one to say, to be honest, because Bayern have been quite thin in defence this season, and I will be quite surprised if they didn't re-sign him. However, they haven't re-signed him, so hence why he's in the video. And I will say that to pretty much all of the players in this video, by the time I record this and it gets released, they might have re-signed a contract, but as of recording this, he hasn't signed a new contract, and I don't know if he will. But just one to note, I think he's still he's playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world. Whether you like him or not, he gets the job done. And even if he does get a move, maybe he comes back to England. I feel like he could, get into most sides in the Premier League. So I still feel like he's at the level, at least for a couple more years. And yeah, we'll see what happens with Eric Dier. Now this one is fun. Ola Aina is up next. 3 months left on his contract. I love this man. I think he's such a great baller, and he's actually injured at the moment, and you can really tell with Forest's performance. Although saying that, I think they did win the last game, but oh yeah, I think Ola Aina is fantastic, and I don't really know why he hasn't signed a new contract. Maybe he thinks he can, get a move to a bigger club, and fair play to him. I mean, if anything, he's probably only got one more big contract left in him as a footballer, like a big. I'm talking like a not one contract left. I mean like one big contract. You know, I mean at 28, he's probably looking to get really, really nice paycheck. So maybe that's why he's holding off on signing a Nottingham Forest deal. Maybe he wants to get paid a little bit more. Who knows? But yeah, he definitely deserves it after the season he's had with Nottingham Forest. Up next, I absolutely love this man, Jonathan David. I don't know what it is. I literally don't know, but sometimes I have this. You guys probably have this as well in football, where you just love a player and you can't really explain why, but you just love him. And Jonathan David really is that man for me. I just have always liked him, and I think he is a great striker. And he's been heavily linked with Newcastle, I believe, in the previous transfer window, and he only has 3 months left at Lille. So Lille, already losing Gomes or Angel Gomes, and maybe losing David as well. So Lille stacks maybe looking a little bit thin next season, depending on who they bring in, I guess. But yeah, David looks like he might be going out the door, and clubs at like Arsenal, Newcastle will be super interested in players like this. And who knows, he might stay in the French league. He might, make a trip over to England. Let's have a look. I'd love to see him in the Premier League, see how he sort of fares. You can see through his scores, just phenomenal player. So yeah, let's see where Jonathan David ends up after the summer. Another Bayern Munich man, Leroy Sane. 3 months left, and again, another player I absolutely adore. And it's just from his times at Man City. I won't lie, I haven't really watched him much at Bayern Munich, but when he was at City, what a left foot he has. I just really, again, weirdly love this player. And again, he is getting to that sort of age where he might only have one more big deal left in his sort of playing career. So no doubt he is probably, trying to get paid the absolute bag, and fair play to him, because I really do enjoy him. I think he's a good little player. You can see, I guess, well, he's actually scored relatively decent for Bayern. I know a lot of these are probably sub appearances as well, but yeah, a guy that could definitely be a main man at perhaps a lesser club. So maybe he's holding out. Maybe he wants to go to more of a a lower tier club and be the number one nailed starter, as he's a bit more rotated, or is rotated quite often at Bayern, from what I understand. But yeah, Leroy Sane, only 3 months left. Sticking on the Bundesliga theme, up next we have Jonathan Tah, and I do believe he was linked with a move last transfer window, but it fell through or something. I think he was on to go to Bayern Munich, but I could be wrong. But yeah, only 3 months left of his contract, so no doubt he'll probably leave on a free to somewhere like Bayern, perhaps. Perhaps he's still on the way there, who knows, especially with Bayern Munich's lack of injury. Perhaps he is Eric Dier's replacement, who knows. But yeah, in terms of scoring, obviously last year they had an invincible season and he was a pivotal part in that. But yeah, this season, relatively decent for a centre back. Could be better, could be worse, and of course playing for his national team, so he'll be a hot commodity in Germany. Now this one is a strange one. Thomas Muller, only 3 months left of his Bayern Munich contract. It looks like Bayern Munich are, cutting it close between a lot of these players. And like I said, time of recording, he hasn't signed another contract. He's 35 now. Does he get another contract at Bayern Munich? I don't know. I feel like perhaps it might be time for the MLS or I don't know, maybe elsewhere, maybe a bit more of a retirement home job for Thomas Muller. But it would be really weird to see him not playing for Bayern Munich. But yeah, only 3 months left for this man. Up next, we have a man that is struggling to find a home, to be honest, and it's Lukas Nmecha. And it just looks like he can't nail a starting spot at the teams that he goes to. And yeah, he's only got 3 months left at Wolfsburg, and who knows, he might end up back at England. But yeah, just needs a home, man. Up next is Kevin De Bruyne. Now, we definitely do know that this one is going to expire because he did announce on his Twitter that he is unfortunately leaving Man City, and I believe he's heavily linked. Well, I'm almost certain he's going to go to the MLS. Heavily linked with Chicago Fire. And yeah, we'll look to see where Kevin De Bruyne ends up, but I mean, he ends his Premier League reign an absolute legend, but of course, still had to be included in the video as his contract is expiring. Up next is Zambo Anguissa, and this is an interesting one because he's sort of a rotational player for Napoli, and I'm actually quite surprised he hasn't signed a new contract, but could be another sort of steal on Sorare because I know his card is going to be super cheap and could be a definitely nailed starter elsewhere. Maybe he stays in Italy, probably. But yeah, let's see where he ends up. 3 months left for this man, and yeah, I guess, look, if you know, you know. I don't really think that many clubs are going to be attracted to signing him, but 3 months left on his contract, who knows? Next is an interesting one, Tariq Lamptey. Now, he's sort of a bit of a weird character, I guess, in the Premier League where he just keeps getting injured. But he was obviously quite a young commodity coming through the Chelsea ranks and that sort of stuff. And when he does play, he does look very good, but again, just plagued with injuries, unfortunately. But if he does get a move away, or I'm assuming he is going to get a move away from Brighton, really interesting type of player. You know, you could see him going to say like a Palace, maybe replacing Mitchell because he can play on both flanks. But yeah, Tariq, I actually think he's a very good player. But yeah, just needs to stay fit and maybe he can find himself a new home in the Premier League. Now, if you play Sorare, you know this man, Boscagli, and just incredible scorer. And lots of people have been saying, can he do it in Europe? You know, can he do it in the bigger competitions or whatever? Who knows? But I'm sure we are about to find out, as he only has 3 months left on his contract, and I'm pretty sure he's been linked with a numerous amount of clubs over, you know, Europe. So it'd be really fun to see where he ends up. But I'm pretty sure he probably already know in his head where he's going. But I don't know if there's that many rumours or where he's been linked with going. But it'll be an interesting one to like to see where he ends up. Let's see where Oliver ends up, and let's see if he can continue this mad scoring that he has in Sorare. Up next is Lacazette, and time of recording this, he has just had a mad game against Man U where he's come off the bench and scored a couple of goals. So it seems a bit weird that he might not be getting another contract at Lyon. Obviously getting on a bit now, so yeah, maybe time for potentially a little Saudi move or something for Lacazette, you know, secure the bag. But yeah, he obviously he's still got it. So I would be surprised if he didn't get a good contract elsewhere. But who knows? Only 3 months left for Lacazette. Kenny Tete up next. Obviously, only 3 months left for him at Fulham, and I don't think he's really had the biggest impact at Fulham, and I don't really know how attractive he is as a sign-in to clubs, to be honest, because he's not really played too much football, and I feel like whenever he does play, he doesn't play the greatest, so maybe a move outside of the Premier League might be best for him. I feel like he would really suit a different league, maybe like Serie A or Ligue 1 or something like that. But yeah, let's see where he ends up. Up next is Neymar. Only 3 months left of his Santos contract, and yeah, man, what a player! Just filled with injuries and shame, really, because we all know what this man is capable of. I don't really know what is he going to retire at 33? Who knows? Up next is Carlos Vinicius for Fulham, another man for Fulham with 3 months left on his contract, and I don't think he's had the best of season. Again, I don't really feel like he's cut out for the Premier League. So yeah, maybe he goes to the Championship or moves country. Let's see what happens. Mario Pasalic, or however you say his name, Pasalic, I don't really know, I'm not Croatian. But yeah, his contract is up at Atalanta, and to be honest, I don't really follow the Serie A that much. But it looks like he plays a lot, so quite interesting that he is getting a move. But yeah, Pasalic, only 3 months left on his contract. What a man Luka Modric is. Only 3 months left at Real Madrid, and I'm sure it's going to be as sad as Toni Kroos sort of retiring, and I'm assuming Modric is probably going to retire after this contract, which is a real shame. But who knows? He might, he might do an Iniesta and go and play his football, in the lower tiers. But yeah, I'm thinking that Modric probably time up for him at least at Real Madrid. Another Napoli man, Alex Meret. I actually think he's a pretty good goalkeeper, so I'm surprised if they do let him go. But only 3 months left on his contract, and you know, again, he's very highly priced on Sorare for good reasons because we can see from his scores, he's been very good, and of course he's playing for Napoli, so you expect him to do well. But surprised they haven't signed his new contract. Maybe they've got other ideas of potentially another goalkeeper coming in, but he's quite highly priced on Sorare, so just bear that in mind if you're owning an Alex Meret, that maybe he gets a move that is not as favourable as playing for a team like Napoli. So yeah, just a heads up. This one to me screams of like another MLS or something like that situation. It's Jorginho. He doesn't really play that much for Arsenal, so I'm guessing that they're not going to re-sign his contract. Interesting to see where he does go. Maybe he goes back to Italy. 3 months left on Cristiano Ronaldo's contract. Now he is 40. He's getting on. Does he sign another contract? I guess he does get another contract, but I don't know. I always felt like he was going to end his career, maybe with Sporting Lisbon, but back in Portugal. But yeah, who knows where Ronaldo's going to end up? But I'm guessing is he going to retire? It's going to be so weird when Ronaldo does retire, isn't it? It's going to be like such a shock to the system. I mean, he has already started his YouTube career, and he's got a couple more subscribers to me, so maybe he just he retires and does that. Nelson Semedo, another player with only 3 months left, and I actually think he's a good little player playing at Wolves, but I think he's actually been in and out of the squad, maybe injuries. No, he's actually played quite a lot of football this year. I don't know what, maybe that was last year I'm thinking of. I think he got a big injury. But yeah, he is a good little player, to be fair. I'm very surprised if Wolves don't give him another contract. But maybe Wolves were waiting to see, or where they end up in the Premier League, or perhaps, or I don't know. I'm not too sure. Maybe if you're a Wolves fan, you can let me know why they're not signing Tomato on another deal. Maybe he's just not got on well with people at the club. But if he leaves Wolves, I'm very confident that he'll get a move to another good club. That's for sure. Anthony Lopez, only 3 months left of his Nantes contract, and another really good goalkeeper. But I think he's had quite a lot of injuries and stuff like that of recent times. So yeah, perhaps they're looking to let him go because maybe he's too injury prone, and he's approaching 35 now. So maybe he gets a move to potentially again another MLS guy, or someone that's going to go to maybe like the Turkish league or something like that, maybe a challenger move for him. So yeah, if you own his champion card, maybe his price might go up if he goes to maybe the champion or contender region. Who knows? But yeah, very cheap as a champion card. Who knows where he'll end up? But yeah, stay on top of this one, because if he does go to a challenger team, you like to think he's probably going to be number one, so his price will probably go up. 37-year-old Di Maria, only 3 months left at Benfica. Who knows where he ends up? I think he was actually linked with Inter Miami at one point to go back with the good old or with Messi again, and I don't know how true that one was. Maybe I read that wrong, but maybe he goes to MLS again. 37, you like to think that's probably, just definitely near retirement age for him. Are Benfica going to give him another contract? Yeah, I mean, probably not. Although, he has played quite a lot of football. obviously picked up an injury here, and does look like he scored pretty well. So, 4 games after the season, you like to think they probably would have gave him a contract already if they were going to re-sign him. But yeah, let's see where Di Maria goes. Maybe back to Argentina. Sticking on the Benfica theme, another man that is getting on a bit and again hasn't re-signed a contract yet is Nicolas Otamendi. And yeah, same sort of thing as Di Maria, not really much to add, just Otamendi, only 3 months left. Tagliafico for Lyon. Again, another Lyon man with his contract coming to an end. And he actually, again, another decent baller. I'm very surprised that they are not re-signing him, or maybe they are and they're just a bit late to doing it. But if I was Tagliafico, I'd be, yeah, I'm guessing it's not a big contract because of his age, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like he's a great little player still. You know what I mean? Maybe agent, like fine wine or whatever. But yeah, he's still not signed a contract, so he's on the list. Up next, honestly, they're probably scared to offer him a contract just in case. You know what I mean? Like, he might just go a bit crazy on him. But yeah, Adama Traore, I swear I'm not saying anything bad. He's probably the best player in world football. How's he not got a contract? Koke for Atletico Madrid. Only 3 months left. This will be quite a sad one if he doesn't re-sign, because again, another player that you can't picture at another club, kind of like Thomas Muller vibes. But yeah, again, not signed his contract at Atletico, and I feel like Atletico might have this sort of like weird transition now with players because they didn't really do that well this year. But even saying that, they're still up there, so who knows? Up next, Reguilon. Get this man out of Spurs. I'm pretty sure he's already, like, his head's probably way out of Spurs. Get him back to probably Spain or at a club where he's actually going to play football. Of course, plagued with injuries and all sorts, and he's just not cut out for the Premier League, is he, realistically? So, yeah, let's get this man just playing football again. Wherever he goes, just play the man. Let him play. I feel bad for him, you know what I mean? Next, David De Gea, only 3 months left at Fiorentina, and I feel like there was such hype around him when he first joined Fiorentina, like he probably, around this time when he scored nearly 100 or whatever, but yeah, kind of plateaued, which is kind of to be expected, I guess. Fiorentina, a very good team in Italy, but not like top, not your Napolis, your Juventuses or whatever. So, yeah, interesting to see if he gets another contract. He's one of them keepers I feel like he's proven himself perhaps now. And yeah, let's see where he ends up. Maybe he wants to go back to Spain, or maybe come back to England. Who knows? Lucas Vazquez, 3 months left at Madrid, and again, another one of those that might just be making way on the wage slip, or like making way for maybe your Trent Alexander-Arnold, perhaps. Again, quite used quite a lot for Madrid, more as obviously as a sub, but they still an important player in the squad, but maybe one of them that just has to make way for some of the players that they want to bring in. Victor Lindelof last year at United, perhaps, as he has not signed another deal, and I feel like United probably have a lot of almost dead weight to get rid of. I feel like it's a shame, man. It's a shame he's gone to United, but to be honest, I never really felt like he was at the level of Premier League anyway. So yeah, probably I can't even comprehend where he might move to next, because yeah, I can't even think of a club where he might go. So yeah, let me know in the comments if where you think Lindelof might go in the summer. Now this is a fun one for those of you Football Manager players. Roony Bardghji, or however you say his name, he's an absolute, like, he's one of those like hidden gems, or high potential ones in FM and that sort of stuff. His contract is coming to an end, and Yeah, again, I feel like I'm pretty sure he was linked with Man U actually, and you can see he's not been playing much football, but I think he's going to be a lot on like a few people's radar, perhaps as his contract is coming to an end, and I feel like he's one of them like youngsters that are highly sort of touted, like your Rayan Cherkis are that type of level of just like hype around them. Whether or not he performs to the hype, let's we got to wait and see. The penultimate player for the video today is Ben Davies, who's actually done a pretty decent job for Spurs this year when he's had to fill in. And yeah, obviously Wales international, so I assume he's still going to get his football elsewhere, perhaps in the Championship now. Although I don't think he'll really want to. I feel like he'll want to play for a Premier League club. I don't know if he'll get that opportunity. I'm not too sure. Perhaps again, maybe a promoted club wants to take a chance on him. But yeah, Ben Davies, I'll be surprised if he does get a decent move, because I feel like he doesn't really have the the I guess the pull, or the traction. I don't know that many clubs that would want to go for him. But yeah, let's see where he ends up. Last but not least, Abdoulaye Doucoure for Everton, and I feel like he's had sparks of brilliance, but only 3 months left at his time at Everton, and again another one where Everton probably just trying to clear players off the books, same as Calvert-Lewin really. But yeah, again, I don't really know if he's Premier League level. Again, a similar vibes to Ben Davies, but I feel like Doucoure is a little bit better, but again, I don't know who's going to take that chance. Maybe like a Wolves or something like that. I'm not too sure what midfield he really gets into other than Everton. But yeah, let's see where he ends up. So there we have it, guys. There is loads of players that have 3 months left on their contract. Look, absolutely, there is a chance that they sign a contract whilst this video comes out and times I've recorded it, yada yada yada. And there is also absolutely a good chance that I've missed a few players. I can't include everybody, otherwise I'll be here all day talking to you about football contracts, and as much as I'd love to do that, I'm not going to do that. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy this sort of different type of video, be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you guys in a future video. Peace.